this shareholder meeting was supposed to happen today. It did not. Unpack the nuts and bolts for us here.
Sure. So what happened is CFIUS issued an interim order requesting that Qualcomm delay its meeting for 30 days. Typically what happens is CFIUS will undertake reviews.
The Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States.
Exactly. Otherwise known to lawyers as CFIUS. They typically take 30 days to review these types of issues, figure out if there is a threat to national security or infrastructure interests from a foreign company investing in a U.S. company or a company that does business in the U.S.
So is this something that CFIUS wouldn't have looked into, or do the accusations from Broadcom hold water?
It's something that CFIUS usually looks into, but much later in the process. Typically what will happen is two companies where there's a foreign acquirer or significant foreign interest, they will file a document with CFIUS looking for approval. But that's typically after, the ink is dried, they've decided to do a deal, or they've at least, agreed to enter into a transaction. Here, you're getting a little bit of gamesmanship by trying to stir up doubt in shareholders' minds as to whether or not they actually want to vote the Broadcom board members into the Qualcomm board.
So, Brooke, what is CFIUS actually concerned about, if indeed they are really concerned?
Sure, and I think it's a valid concern, and I think there's been some lawmakers have raised the possibility of whether we could see copycats who would look at Broadcom's strategy and say, this company, if they were to be successful, got effective control of this U.S. company via a proxy fight. And I think, that's why they felt compelled to sort of intervene at this stage. It is unusual, but I think given the circumstances, given the tactics that Broadcom has used to try to push its takeover bid ahead, I think this really sort of did merit it. And one thing that was interesting to me is Broadcom said that Qualcomm filed this, secret request with CFIUS back in January. So I think it's important to note that it's not like Qualcomm just called up CFIUS over the weekend and thought that they were maybe going to lose this vote and called in a favor. So this has been sort of an ongoing process. Qualcomm claims that Broadcom is, engaged in communications with CFIUS, which Broadcom has confirmed to a certain degree, but they just say it's about different things than Qualcomm does.
Now, Matt, our reporting indicates that Broadcom does still have the upper hand here. Why?
I think that it looks like it's an easy story to make. Qualcomm has had a lot of trouble with its licensing business. They're in a huge dispute with Apple. They're just getting shut out of collecting patent royalties.
Around the world.
Around the world, which is a big deal. Broadcom has said this model is broken. We should focus on the chip business, minimize patent trolling, or collecting licensing dollars. We should instead look at the value of chips and look to increase revenues via that business model. It's starting to look attractive to Qualcomm shareholders when you're being locked out from Apple revenues. There's potentially no end in sight to a very lengthy and complex legal battle. I think, kind of building on those shareholder concerns and fears is a pretty good tactic for Broadcom to implement.